So, presuming this has now made it to the recording and live stream, it's great to have you. This is super off the cuff, and I've only got about 20 minutes, so we're going to be going very quickly. This request comes from Meta, believe it or not, and they want to know how hard is it to make NPCs walk. The answer is very hard, and that's what we intend to do. So, today's goal is to create a script that quickly demonstrates. I have to do this video in under 2 minutes, not this live stream, the video I have to record for them in under 2 minutes to show that it's very hard to use NPCs to get them to walk from one position to another. And I figured if I'm going to write all that script, I might as well do it on a stream for you guys, right? So without further ado, let's open up the Quest Link app. Now, they do have a brand new app. I heard some people had some trouble installing it, so I haven't tried installing it yet. There is a brand new desktop editor app, so you no longer have to have the Quest Link, which is pretty cool. I'm definitely going to check that out at some point, just not anytime soon. All right. Audio looks like it's coming through. I should double check. I usually do beforehand. Yep, looks good. Feel free to say hello in the chat and ask any questions as we go. We're going to start by building a new world. And if you're just joining us, we'll be doing some scripted NPCs today. And I haven't touched this in a minute, so I'm probably going to have to look at some old scripts to see how I did it in the past and remember some things from our previous live stream where we covered a similar topic. I think today we're also going to be looking at some of the Unity Asset Bundle NPCs, which is why I had the generic title of Walking NPCs. All right, so ooh, look at these cool public assets. Those are neat. Let's go back to my assets. We don't need that. We're going to go to console. We don't need any 3D models today. What we want to do is go to gizmos. We just want to get a NPC walking. So we're going to start with the basic NPC. Pull that out. And there it is. I'm going to move this to 0 to 0. And the demo I'd like to do is a pretty straightforward one. I'll move it down by 1. There we go. And let's move the spawn point up by 3 so it's out of the way. And so here we can see our NPC. We're not going to design them or anything. I think they're going to load in a minute to look like that. And I guess we can give them a name. And we're just going to call this test NPC. Welcome in, Jeff. Great to have you. Null value point, right, Jeff? Oh, you checking out my my shirt. Thank you so much. I believe, I asked ChatGPT, but I believe this says fortune. I have no idea if I'm right or wrong. Anyway, let me know. It should be on the back too. It's a really cool shirt I picked up. Me and my friend got one, and they're pretty neat. So we're shirt buddies. All right, so we got our test NPC named. And honestly, tell me what you're saying. Also, hey, Charles, great to have you. All right, so we've got this NPC. Should be good. Maybe I have to hit world simulation off and on to get him to load in nicely. There we go. Nice. And perfect. All right, so now we need a script to get this guy to walk. And so what I was saying is I really want to stumble him just because I know how difficult it is to get these guys to walk. So we're just going to put a cube out on the scene right here. Let's get that lined up. That's so funny. That is so funny. That is too good. And I think that just needs to come down a little bit to 0.5. Fantastic. Go to 0, go to 2. Now it's nicely centered. Let's actually move it out to maybe 4 so it's in the way. And when we reload the world, he'll move down. And so the idea is to just get him to walk straight. And then we want to have a few just different demonstrations of this. So I'm thinking we duplicate this and Control B, and then we'll slide this over. There we go. Kind of want to turn snapping on, so let's turn on snapping and then slide over like, sure, that'll do. There we go. And then let's do that one more time, Control D. And so these demos will be named correct based on what they are. So this will be the forward test. Okay. And then we're going to have the next test will be the destination test. And then the final one is going to be the working, which we call pathfinding test. Okay. And so the goal is to get these guys to walk. Oh, it just says hi. Nice. Thanks. And so, yeah, that's the goal, is just to get these guys walking straight. And so with the first guy walking forward, that should be a pretty easy thing to build. So I'd like to try and do it. Let's go grab a script, create a new script, and we're just going to call this the NPC. These are specifically avatar NPCs. And this is going on an entity, so I do this entity tag in my script name. There we go. 3 dots, open an external editor. And I'm really going to be winging this because I cannot remember for the life of me how I did it last time. I'm pretty sure it's something really simple. Like usual, I like to delete the HZ dots. And then I recently learned in the last stream, it was, what was it? It was control period? Oh, yeah, it's control period. Nice. So cool. That auto imports. I normally backspace the T and retype the T. I'm going to have to try and remember that control period. Okay. And then what we need to do is on start, I want to get this guy walking forward. And so if we just say, we're just going to create a property to make this clearer. And we're going to call this the destination. And the destination is going to be, I feel like it should be an entity so we can move it around. So that's a type, prop types dot entity. There we go. And then in start, we can say this dot entity dot as parentheses. I'm literally guessing here. This is a avatar AI. What do they call? Oh, and I have to import the API for it. Duh. Okay, so let's go and do that. So now that we've created the script, we can then go to the gear icon, go to APIs, and turn on. We're going to need nav mesh later. We're going to need Unity asset bundles later. We're going to need avatar AI agent now. Press apply. There we go. And then head back to the script. Avatar AI agent is what we're looking for. Avatar AI agent. There it is. And then dot. Should be like a move, I would imagine. Let's see, locomotion dot move to position, and then we're going to use props dot destination dot position dot get. There we go. And then we want to verify this destination on start. Let's see. I think we'll just do it like this. This is not like the best for long-term scripts, but just for a short-term script like this will be fine. Okay, and then we can remove the question mark. Now it's happy. Okay, so this script is only going to run if props.destination is set. And so the goal, I think, should be to get this guy to walk up it. So we've got this forward tester here. We got this guy. We're going to change this to be called forward. And now if I click on him, go to the add script, avatar NPCs, select destination as the forward, and then press play world. Does it work? No, because I screwed something up. I didn't wait for the NPC to spawn, probably. Okay, yeah, so if I, nice. And so there we go, we got him stuck, and that's the point. This guy gets stuck. He doesn't actually go to the destination. He just gets stuck. So world simulation off. We do need to delay that so it actually behaves correctly when we properly restart it. And to do that, we need to know when this entity, or yeah, this NPC enters the world, which we're going to use pre-start for. And we're going to say pre-start, and we're going to say, breathe. We need to connect code block event, parentheses from this dot entity, and then comma, the code block event is the player enter worlds event, and then comma, we're going to connect that to a local method, which will also be called player enter world, parentheses received with a player parameter. There we go. And then curly braces. All right, now we got our player enter world. We can now connect it right here by doing parentheses, player, and we're creating this arrow function to the right, curly braces, that we can then call player enter world from, and then pass the player parameter. I like semicolon, so I add a semicolon here and there. And like that, we're done. Stretch this out just a little bit more, some more room. Nice, okay. So now that we've got this connected, when the player enters the world, there's this feature, I gotta remember how to do it. I believe it's avatar AI agent dot get gizmo from player, parentheses player. And so what this does is it returns the gizmo of the player. And since this script is running on the gizmo, we attached it to the gizmo. We're then going to receive self when this is called. So we'll put this in parentheses and then say if this dot entity triple equals this avatar AI agent get gizmo from player, then we know, I need to put an if statement here, if, then we know that this is the player for ourselves. And at that point, we want to move forward, which we can just take this and move it into here. Okay? Cool. Control save. So that should work correctly. Go ahead and hit play after it finishes compiling. Feel free to drop questions in the chat if you have any. At the very beginning, I mentioned I only have 20 minutes, so I might push that to 30, but I do have to run out the door before too long. Oh, wrong button. I still mix these up. There we go. And come on. Hey, and he starts running. Perfect. Can't even see him, but he's running. Fantastic. Okay, so now that we got the first one, we're going to go ahead and rename this. Rather than having the same script for each, we're just going to call this the forward avatar NPCs. Just because they're all going to be nearly the same, we'll call it forward, because this guy's going forward, and then we want to duplicate this. The easiest way to do that is to click settings, three dots, open scripts folder in Explorer, and then from the scripts folder here, we can then click on this and hit Control-C, Control-V, and then rename this file. And so we'll click rename. And so the next one is going to be called destination, which is exactly what that one does. Never mind. Think about that. Think about that for a second. Let's just call this guy jump at destination. Destination. Okay. And we'll rename that one more time to get that nice and clean. There's a lot of elements here. So let's see if we can get this to work. Okay, so we got our destination test, which should be the same script. We'll go ahead and click open an external editor. And because this is the same script, it's got all the basic stuff ready for us to go. And both scripts are in there. Yeah, we just renamed one of them. So what we want to do is when we get to the destination, we want to do something different. And so to check that, we need to be running some sort of a loop. And so I'm just going to create a really simple loop. And then curly braces. We can call that loop from inside of here. We also need to know our destination. So I'm going to create a variable up here called destination, which will be a vector3. So we'll say equals vec3.0. And then on start is when we're going to define the destination. So alt arrow up, and then we're going to define destination and say destination equals, and then we have that value right here. So we'll go ahead and Control X, Control V, semicolon, and then right here we can now put in this dot destination, which returns this value up here. And now that we got destination set and then used, we can utilize that inside of our loop. And so now we have said move to this position, and then what we can then say afterwards, Shift Alt F, there we go. And then what we can say afterwards is, async dot set interval, parentheses. And what we want to do is call loop. So we do an arrow function like we've been getting used to doing. And we type loop, and then parentheses, and semicolon, and then comma. And then the delay between each of these is going to be 500 milliseconds. And so what we want to know is within half a second, if we are within 1 meter, we need to jump. So here in the loop, we want to say if, and we need to also know about our player. So we're going to go ahead and create a value up here called player. Or actually, you know what we can do, which is even better, is we can pass that as a parameter into loop. So we'll do that instead. Player, And then we can pass player right here. There we go. So now we're receiving the player, and we can now say if the NPC player, might be better to really clarify that here, NPC player, Control-C, Control-V, if that player's position dot get, and then the distance from that position to, we actually really need to get the distance without the y value. So we're going to do some math first. And so if we take the destination position, so we say destination dot subtract parentheses, and now we're going to subtract the player's position. That's going to give us a vector. We should do this above. This is getting to be a lot of math for an if statement, Command X. And so what we're calculating is the distance vector. So we'll say constant distance vec. I can't wait to be done and show you the Unity asset bundle version because it's so much easier. Constant distance vec equals this dot destination dot sub npc player dot position dot get, and that's going to give us a distance vector which we can then get without the y value. So we want to know the constant distance without y equals, and so we take the distance vec dot multiply by new vec3 parentheses 1 comma 0 comma 1, and we need to do component multiplication, component multiply. So that's going to get rid of the y value, and then after we've created that new vector, we can then dot magnitude, which gives us the distance of the vector. There we go. Okay, so distance without y is a number, so we've calculated the distance without the y value, and so now we can say if the distance without y is less than 1 meter, we know we want to jump, so then we can just call this dot entity dot as parentheses avatar AI agent, and then dot locomotion, and then there should be dot jump. There it is, jump. All right, so that's going to jump when it gets close. That should allow us to get to the destination, I hope. We'll give it a shot. And we'll go ahead and clear, and play. Oh, I still keep doing that. I'm going to get it one day. All right, so the first two, oh, I forgot to attach the script to this guy. That's what it is. Attach the jump at destination. We need to reference this guy, which we'll call the jump. Okay, and then click reference jump. There we go. All right, and try that again. Here we go. He runs, he jumps, and he makes it, and he just keeps jumping. Honestly, that's pretty solid. I love that. That's he's better than this guy. The AI is getting smarter, right? That's a lot of work. So we got one more test NPC, which I don't think I'm going to use for this test. I think we'll come back to that. Let me read the comments here. Give you guys a video feed. Hey yo. I'm like, oh, that's my VR headset. Would you look at that? I did eventually switch to a Quest 3. I don't know if you guys know. I've only used it a handful of times yet so far, but I quite enjoy it. Oh, but I'm supposed to read the comments, but I have to show you this because I was using it yesterday. And I'm so excited because, come on, rotate. This here is the very first VR, it's so hard to see, it's not focusing, that's okay. That's the very first VR build of the app I'm making. Like, I've been building it on a desktop computer for so long, and I finally went and did it, built it in VR. There's a lot more work to do, but it also downloads from a GitHub repo, which I really think is very cool. So I'm looking into how I can use that, but I also need to build like a .local website for you to access it from your computer if you're on the same Wi-Fi network, so you can like add models and pull models out. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I'll get there. But anywho, welcome in JJT. Great to have you. Jeff says, watching from work, if NPCs are easy and I have time, I may add it to my competition world, but I may not finish. Quick answer is NPCs are not easy. They are pretty hard. And that's what this video today is to demonstrate, is to show, Meta actually asked me to create a 2-minute demonstration of how hard it is to use NPCs. And so what I'm doing is creating these examples so I can very quickly in 2 minutes show, look, here's how to get it to move forward. It gets stopped as soon as you get into a rock. Here's how to get it to move to a destination, and then it has to jump. I guess we can take our third NPC and get him to stop jumping, right? Like, it's a whole nother step to get him to actually, like, I've made it to my destination, which is kind of surprising. I was actually expecting him to stop jumping when he made it to it. Well, I guess, no, he stopped moving forward. Okay, my jumping script isn't done. Okay, let's just fix the jumping script. So when we reach destination, we're jumping here, and then we need to say, if distance without y is less than 1 and distance without y is greater than 0.25. So if you're right there, it doesn't do any jumping. So what this should do, if I'm not mistaken, oh, wrong one, hi, minimize, minimize, here we go. What this should do is only allow him to jump once. I mean, I thought the jumping over and over was pretty cool, but it's not the intention. So he jumps up and he makes it, nice. And he gets to destination. This guy can't get to the destination because he doesn't have a jumping thing built in. This guy does, very cool. What it means though, is if we delete this guy, and then we select, we'll stop the world for a second, and then we duplicate this, Control D, and then we'll call this, that's about the right space. We need to give him a different name because I care about names, and we're going to call this tall destination test. And then we're going to make this slightly taller. So we're going to go to the Y scale, change it to 2, and then slide it. No, we'll leave it there. That's fine. But then if we hit play, oh, wrong button. If we hit world simulation on, rather, what we're going to see is he can't make it. So he's just going to stand there jumping, never being able to make it up. Which is also not great. So the question is, if I build something similar to this, but the opposite, so let's select all three of these, Control D, and what I mean by opposite is it's going to come from the opposite direction, is we're going to grab some regular NPCs. So let's go to, we're going to need a navigation volume, so we'll go ahead and bring this out real quick. This is going to be called NPC. This is going to be called, and there's one other example I want to have. The brain is running too fast. Agent height is 1.5 roughly, 1.75 might be better. Agent radius is 0.7, 0.5 is probably better. Agent slope, I think 40, 45, let's try 40. Agent step height is 1 meter, as we just saw, it was able to jump 1 meter. Go ahead and click create. All right, so there's our NPC. And so this other example I wanted to create here before moving on was one that can walk around. And so Control D, slide this over. And I think we're going to slide this over one more, just to give it some more space. And so the idea of this is that we're going to create two examples. This one here is going to be trying to walk past, and it's not going to be able to. And so we're going to grab this, Control D. We're going to then select the other one, this one, and slide it forward, because this is the destination. And then slide that down, maybe not all the way down though. Where is that? Position minus 0.48, 0.45. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one, but I'm just going to duplicate this to be easier. Slide that over right there. All right. Okay, so these need good names. So we've got our forward test. This is our walk past test. And this is our walk past nav mesh test. Okay. And so both of these need to go to their destination, which is going to be forward nav mesh. I'll just put NM there. And then we'll click on him, select forward nav mesh. Forward nav mesh, there it is. Okay. And then this guy should still be linked up to this forward. That'll work. Okay. All right. And then we've got these two here, which are just obstacles. And so what we want to do is see that when I hit play, they're going to, excuse me, when I hit world simulation on, they're going to walk forward, and they're going to get stuck, just like this guy did, even though their destination is behind that. So if I move this out of the way, he goes and gets to his destination, and do the same thing here. Yeah. So what we want to do is, and I need to get some air. It is blazing hot today somehow, so I'm going to open up the window. Okay. Whew, that'll help. I'm also wearing completely dark pants because I'm expecting to go outside where it's cold. But anyway, back in. Wrong one, sorry. There we are. Okay, so we've given them the destination, and the problem is they don't go anywhere. And so this guy is to prove that he doesn't walk past. So we got these like two examples, right? Like this one's trying to walk to here, this one's trying to walk to here. They both do the same thing though. This one's trying to walk to here, but we're going to give him a navigation volume, like navigation mesh to follow, which is very difficult to do, which is part of the reason we wanted to show this today. So we're going to go bring out a gizmos. We need a navigation volume. There it is. And pull that out. We're going to then move that to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. There we go. And we need to set this volume to be pretty large. We'll go to maybe 25, 25, yeah, maybe 10, and 25. All right, there we go. That's not 25. There we go. All right, so we got this nice navigation volume, which makes all of this area traversable by NPCs. We've got it set to inclusion. We've got it set to affect all of the profiles, so NPC is included. And we're going to come back to this guy. No. We're going to keep showing how hard this is. So if you just joined us, great to have you. The goal here is to show how hard it is, and there's one that makes this really easy. We're getting to that one at the very end. So after all this scripting, you're going to see this one example, and you'll be like, why doesn't that just work for our avatars? And that's exactly the point of this demonstration. So we're almost there. Okay, so we need to get this guy set up. Now, I haven't done it in a hot minute, so what I want to do is pull out the scripts, go into one of my other worlds that does have this, Reveal in File Explorer, and let's go up a folder or two, up. Okay, and then that was in probably NPC Playground, probably makes sense for that script. NPC Avatar Test. Okay, let's open that script up. Here we can see the nav mesh. We've got this already. We don't need targets. We're going to use the destination we set up. So nav mesh is either nav mesh or undefined. I'm honestly just going to copy a little bit of this to kind of like remember how it's done. So we'll start by going here and typing nav mesh, and then is going to be a nav mesh or undefined. There we go. And then if we go back in here, we can see we're connecting player enter exit events. We don't need to do that. We have nav mesh manager get instance. And this is what we need to do, which needs to be async. So then we got to rebake the nav mesh. Note that when you first publish a world like this, or if you go into preview a world like this, you need to republish your world because the first time this whole rebaking thing doesn't work. And well, not just rebaking, like the whole baking system doesn't work the first time you publish or the first time you, or when you do a pre-test. Until there's at least one. Anyway, it's confusing, it's complicated, it's a pain, but you get there. Okay, so we're going to copy this, Control-C. Oops, go back. Over here. So pre-start needs to be made async. What async means is it happens not on the main thread. And so that means that this code here doesn't happen like synchronously. I don't know how to describe this. First of all, I need to import this, which we remember was control period, and then click enter. There we go. Nav Mesh Manager has now been imported. We're awaiting. So when we await, we're like just chilling, waiting, which is why it's not synchronous, and why it has to be async, because it's not happening as fast as possible. And so Nav Mesh Manager gets an instance of this world. It then awaits to get the instance of NPC, which we're going to change to just straight NPC, and then control save. And then we say if this.navmesh, we're going to rebake that nav mesh, and now we've got a nav mesh, so that's fantastic. I want to make sure that our nav mesh is described as NPC, which we can do right here. There we go, perfect. Okay. And then, oops, what did I do wrong? That's weird. Let's go to scripts, forward. Oh my gosh, I'm making such a huge mistake. I forgot to duplicate the script. Open an external editor. Right click, reveal in File Explorer. Duplicate. I forgot there's no duplicate on Windows. Just gotta do Control C, Control V. There we go. Okay, so back here I'm gonna undo all this because I made a mistake. Control Z, Control Z. Oh wait, did it not save anything? Oh, I was modifying the other one. It's even worse than I thought. That's okay. We'll use the other one. Let's duplicate that one as well, which we have right here. Control Z, Control C, Control V. There we go. And now come in here and Control Z and removing all this nav mesh stuff. Okay. Control save. Okay, so this one's done. We don't want either of these to be modified. We want to modify this copy, which I need to rename. And this is the, not jump at destination, this is the avatar NPCs underscore nav mesh. There we go. And then let's remove the copy at the end of that. Rename, remove copy, and then Control save. I don't need to save that yet. Okay, so we come in here. Let's go ahead and quickly attach this script so I don't forget later. And there is our nav mesh. Okay, fantastic. And this automatically keeps this because it has the same variable name and type, so it automatically keeps our reference, which is nice. Okay, so we're done in this scripts folder. What we were not done in is this scripts folder because I must have accidentally closed out of it. Let's open that up again. So weird. I'm getting some weird stuff. Here it is. Here's me again. I meant to get to here. So weird that I was having trouble with that, but here we are. So this is the old one. Here's the new one. And so we've got this set up, and I was going to quickly describe what this is doing. So since I just copied and pasted it. So we're creating a value for the nav mesh. It's undefined if we don't define it in pre-start. Then in pre-start, we need to get the nav mesh manager. And if we hover over nav mesh manager, we can see it's this thing called nav mesh manager. Weird, interesting, right? But it doesn't seem like we need it. So it's only stored inside of here. That's why we're using constant. We're not creating it out here. And so we get instance of this world. And sorry about that. I must have missed my text message. I'm probably running out of time. Let me see. We're at 32 minutes. Yeah, it's a little over time. We're almost there. Give me 7 minutes. 7 minutes, please. And then wool face and send. Okay. Okay, so then we got constants nav mesh manager get instance of this world. Nav mesh is then defined. So we had it undefined. Now we're defining it, and we're awaiting the nav mesh manager to get by name. So for whatever reason, getting my name happens async. So it's returning a promise, and that's what await is used for. It's for waiting for the promise. And so get by name NPC is either going to return a nav mesh, or it's going to be undefined. That's what this question mark does. It's like, okay, if there is no by name, you'll see here it returns null. If this did return null, we're using undefined instead. So that's why this is undefined. It's because I don't like null, and that's just a personal choice. I recommend you make that choice though. So if this .nav mesh, once we've gone through that, we can then say, okay, is the nav mesh real? It didn't return undefined. Then let's rebake it. If it is undefined, let's make sure to log that to the console. And now with that, we can then go in here to see how we're using it, which should be pretty simple. So we have .agentPlayer.get. That's interesting. That's interesting. Why haven't I been using that? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing it the weird way? Why am I doing it the weird way where I'm doing the whole player interworld thing? That's so interesting. When there's this .agentPlayer.get. So curious. It's probably because I need to wait for the player to load in. That's probably why I've been doing it that way. I forgot about this method. That's a nice method. Okay, so loop, and if this .IamPlayer and this .navMesh, then we go through the positions. So we're getting a path. So we say navmesh.getPath, and we take the position of self and the destination, and then it's going to give us some waypoints, which is the vector array, which we can then use. This thing was randomly jumping to get him to jump over blocks. This is so dumb, which is so dumb, but I guess we should implement that because it makes sense. So yeah, let's go ahead and implement this whole getting path. So down here, and I got a text message that says, perfect. Okay, cool. So here we were doing a loop to check the distance and then jumping. And we're going to come back to this. I'm going to put a comment here and say, jump if target in the way, question mark. So we'll come back to that. And then player enter world. Well, actually, we shouldn't need to do that. I guess we do need to do that because of the, yeah, that's true. Okay. And then player enter world. We're going to need to build a few examples of this. That's the thing. Okay, so then we said move to position. We want to change this to move to positions, which needs an array of positions, which we can get by saying nav mesh. And we're going to do something. We're going to say constant positions equals nav mesh dot get path parentheses. We need the start position, which is the position of the player. So we say player dot position dot get. And then we need to give it the destination, which is this dot destination. That is going to return a nav mesh path, which if we do dot path waypoints, will then return the vector3 array. So now this should say vector3 array or undefined. We can then say square brackets here, and then this is hard to explain. Let me back. I'm going to cut this, Control X. So we really want to pass positions, but if positions is undefined, we're in trouble. So we say positions undefined, question mark, and then we do this dot destination in square brackets creates an array. And so it's saying if positions is undefined, use the destination as just a single position to move to. And so now it's going to move to each of these positions in the array, which will allow it to navigate better. We're not going to do looping on this one. I'm going to create a Boolean for loop and just say jump loop. Can jump, can, we'll call this detect jump, and then that will be a type Boolean, or this is a prop types dot bool, and then comma default colon false. There we go. And then we're going to put an if statement around this and say if parentheses props dot detect jump curly braces alt arrow up. Okay, and then we run that. Okay, heading back into Horizon. Neither of these should do anything different because their navigation volume is going to be telling them just to walk straight, because the navigation volume knows that NPCs should be able to jump up by 1 meter. So when I hit world start, it should do the exact same thing as before for this guy here. Let's see. Ooh, where the heck? Oh, there he is. Yeah, so he's stuck there because he's supposed to jump. Now we're going to stop, and we're going to create a couple demonstrations of this. Oopsie daisy, try again. So select, 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 and then we're going to Control D, and this guy is going to have a much lower navigation, or excuse me, a much lower obstacle, like, let's go to half meter, 0.5, and down. There we go. And world simulation on. Can he get over half a meter is the question. The answer is probably no. Oh, he does. Nice. Okay, cool. And so he does get to the destination with the navigation volume. And then we need one more. And I'm going to duplicate this in the opposite direction, but let's select all of these, slide it over. There we go. So we're going to select this guy and Control D, slide over. All right. And so then this one we're going to set to be twice as tall. So we're going to set the scale to be 2. And because this is so much taller, when I start it, it's going to navigate around it because it knows it can't jump over at 2. So it goes around, and it does still get there. So the point is, the nav mesh is fantastic, but these avatars don't know to jump over things. So instead, you have to tell it, like, oh my gosh, I'm coming at a thing. Let's tell it to jump. And so we're going to do this super dumb. I think we're going to do this super dumb, which is going to be called last. We're going to call this last position, which will be equal to vec3.0. And then what we're going to do inside the loop, and then we're going to tell this guy to detect jump. I'm going to have to make this volume larger. Let's go to 35 and 35. There we go. And so what we want to do is take these guys, slide them over, and what do I write about there? Nice. And then we're going to take this guy, and this is the one that we're going to make jump, that can jump. So we'll go on to his properties and turn on detect jump. And so the idea is that when he detects being still, he's going to run that jump command we had written earlier. And so here we said distance vec, distance without y, and we don't really need to do any distance checks to the destination. Instead, what we want to do is know the current position. And so we're going to call this current position equals the NPC player position dot get. So we're going to get the player's position. And then we need to know the distance without y. I agree. We do need to know the distance without y, right? That makes sense. No, we don't need to know the distance without y. We just need to know the distance. So we can remove the without y part of the variable name. And so we're going to take the current position and then say dot distance to distance, and I can delete the rest of this. So we take the current position, and we want to get the distance to the previous position, which I had called, what did I call that at the top here? We called that last position. Let's change that to previous position. I prefer previous position. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to pass in previous position. And then once we've calculated the distance, we can then set the previous position to be equal to the current position. And now inside of our if statement, oops, Control Z, we're going to say jump if target, jump if stagnant. I guess we did need to do a distance to the destination. Because we do stagnate when we get to our destination. So let's copy the code that we wrote here, all of this. Control C, then Control Z to bring back the previous code we had for knowing. I'll have to rename that in a second. Bring this all back. Okay, here's where we defined last position. So let's change that to previous position because I preferred that. And then we'll scroll back down. So now we've got this distance vector we defined earlier, the distance without y, which is how we were defining if they were at the destination. And so we want to say a couple of things here, but let's first paste this. So now we've got our current position, distance, and previous position. And then what we want to do is say jump if stagnant and not at destination. And so the first thing we do is we write a couple more constants here to make this easier to read. So we say constant is at destination equals this value here. This defines if we are at the destination. And then we want to do one more. So we'll say if is at destination, or is not. This is not at destination. Distance without y is less than 1. This is close to. This is close but not at destination. That's what this is. Is close but not at destination. Control C, Control V. And then the next one is constant is still. We'll call this stagnant. And that will equal if the distance that the players moved since their last distance is less than 0.25. So that means they're still, they're not moving anywhere. And so we'll say if is close but not at destination, or is stagnant. Ooh, but we need to say is stagnant, is close but not at destination, because we can't be at the destination. Is stagnant away from destination. So if distance, we're going to put some parentheses around this, and we're going to say and, so if the distance is less than 0.25, I guess we don't need the parentheses, do we? I thought they would look nicer, but they didn't. And the So if it's close but not at the destination, we're okay with it jumping, which we would call stagnant, right? So, maybe we instead change this to be is at destination. And then we say if distance without y is less than 0.25, then we know that it's too close. You're at the destination. And then we say is stagnant. Yeah, this is a lot simpler. Is stagnant is if the distance is less than 0.25, which we'll call distance moved to make it more clear. Control C, Control V. Is close, now is now. So we want to say if is stagnant and not at destination, then we run the jump. Jump if stagnant and not at destination. That reads just like the comment, so we don't need to comment anymore because it's readable. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So that theoretically will allow this player to jump over it because they have the jump turned on. Clear and play. Oops, wrong button. I swear, one day I'm gonna get that. And world simulation on. Come on, do what you're supposed to do, please. Run, jump. There he goes. Nice! Oh, fantastic. Okay, so that is using these NPCs. It's a lot of work, but now we've got one more demonstration before I race out the door. And this demonstration should be really straightforward to prove that it's super easy. Just saying hello to everyone here. Jay says, if you do want to friend me, my username is MetaJJTBell. Nice, awesome. Feel free to join the Vidyuu Discord, links in the description, and that's where I usually hang out. At least for the next few months. I'm working on a Unity project, so I haven't been in Horizon as much. If you do want to friend, okay. Sharpie, welcome in, great to have you. NavMesh is nice, and I thought I'd have to make my own A-star algorithm. Yeah, it is really nice. It's harder to use, as you just saw, but it is nice, for sure. Storming Decker says, glad we don't have to use A-star. That would be a lot of extra work, absolutely. And probably a performance hog. I know, we can do quite a bit of operations. I've done, I think, basically I created a while loop in an async, and it never ran. It never stopped. It just kept running forever. It was fantastic. I've built some really complex algorithms. If you like algorithms, you're in good company. That's good. It's good. So Jeff says, if it hits a step at an angle, it'll drift in last position, won't work. Potentially. Might work with raycast. Raycast is not a bad idea either. If it detects that is slowed, fire raycast to check for a step. Yep, I think that's a great idea. Cool. But yeah, the point is it's a lot of work, and I've spent weeks building these sort of NPCs, and so if you've just joined us, the goal today is to make a 2-minute video, so we're going to be recording that soon, to show Meta how hard it is to get these NPCs to work compared to the Unity Asset Bundle NPCs. And so these are our array of tests that we're going to be able to show off. And the next one we're going to show off, I was going to do on the other side of this. I think I'm going to go ahead and... yeah, we're going to do these all right here, I think is the best method. So we're going to slide these out to match their far counterparts. And then we need to bring in a Unity Asset Bundle, which is going to be inside of Build, Assets. Where did they hit Assets? Oh, they put Assets down here, that's right. Okay, so Public Assets, we should be able to search for Unity Asset Bundles, which should be under Interactive. Interactive, player scripts, world scripts, interfaces, game systems, complete mechanics, social tools. Interesting. A lot of things have changed here. Mascot, pineapple. Some of those might actually be, but these are the NPCs we're looking for. Let's go with the NPC Android for now. I think it's the least intimidating. And we're going to try and get this guy to do the exact same operations. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so now that we've got our Unity Asset Bundle gizmo, I'm going to rotate him 180 degrees on the Y, so he's facing the opposite direction. I'm going to move him down to 0. Nice, now he's on the ground, fantastic. If we go to our navigation that we created earlier and we turn on the visibility, you can see the whole walkable area. Very nice. Kind of weird that that's not walkable. I guess it's because it's walking around that area and that one. Okay, cool, nice, nice. Oh, because it's because of the half-meter width I gave it, that's why. We'll go back to navigation and turn that off. Now we want to assign this to our NPC here, which we can do by going down to navigation locomotion, turn it on. Navigation profile is going to be NPC.
There's properties here to get all of that set up. Physical surface snapping will turn on. I don't know if we need to. Let's not do it. Okay. So now that we got that set up, we now need to get this to walk, which I have not done in a very, very long time. But I think it should be pretty easy. So we're going to build another script, which we're going to call UAB NPC _ entity. All right, 3 dots, open an external editor, and right click, spelling. Oh, that doesn't have the normal spelling stuff. That's weird. Whatever. So we're going to ignore it. I'm trying really hard to ignore it. I'm going to delete this, delete all the HC dots because I don't like HC dots. And then we know control period now, and then click enter. Very nice. And I really am going to have to look at an example. I haven't done this in so long. So right click, reveal in File Explorer. Where did I last touch NPCs like this? Where was I working with NPCs? NPC Playground, probably? No, this is for the avatar NPCs. Let's see, where was I building NPCs? Never put it in Murder Manor. I think I was building it with Euphoria a while ago. We were building a NPC tool, if I'm not mistaken. We were trying to build some like scripts we were going to give away, but then it just never worked out because they changed the whole game. So we might be on a shared world. Web and mobile examples, no. Blank. Dark day outbreak. Dark on board. Drone uprising. I think those were custom. I don't think we were using anything in there. Dungeon asset testing. Game test. Let's see. It's probably not too far away. But it could be so long ago it's not saved inside of here. Let's see. Developing mode, mobile and worlds. My custom UI examples, new worlds. NPC check. Let's see what's in here. Nothing. Oh, player server. Interesting. I'm not sure that that's related. Outbreak, player data, pop. Okay. Might have to go and look inside. Let's see. I'm really hopeful. But I don't see it in here. Okay. Let's go out, creation home. There are some examples you can look at from these templates that they've just, they've got some tutorial worlds too. And this is like where I'd look first, but it's so painful to look through. So I know that I built a better one. So let's see if I can remember what we called it. I don't think we added an image. It's probably just not owned by me or something. Maybe it's so far back. NPC Playground's not that. This would have been before. Maybe it's this Juggernaut. Okay, now we've gone back too far. Although they do sometimes randomly change these up, don't they? Let's see. Could be inside of this one. And I'm really, really out of time. My bad. Oops. But great to have you guys. Hope this has been helpful seeing some of these things. And wrong one. This one. Come on. There we go. Is this the world? No, that is definitely not the world. Oh man, I guess I'm gonna have to look at the old tutorial world of it, as much as I don't want to. NPC examples. Here we go. What in the world? It's even opening a website? Okay, well. For enum, fields. Look at.
Oh, these are so gross. It's really not that hard. They make this so much harder when you're looking through these scripts. We don't really care. I guess there's like a walking animation that we need to turn on. I might just try to figure it out at the same time. Oh, I must have these scripts on my laptop, which I have sitting right next to me. Like, these are really gross scripts. I really don't want to look at these. NPC agent. Let's go to scripts. Let's open external editor. The reason these are so gross is they basically make you have to grind through looking at everything to figure out how it works. So we can see navmesh agent here, which we know is important. So we can look through to find return this.navmesh agent. Here we've got navmesh max speed. So they're changing the speed, which isn't something we care about because we've set the speed already on the properties panel of the thing. So we don't care about changing that for this case. And so inside of here, there's nothing here that does anything else with the navmesh agent. Is there anything else up here we might want to try and look into? Let's see, I don't see anything. And so the way they end up actually doing stuff is by sending it events, I believe is how it's done. Trigger hit animation, trigger attack animation, trigger remote, trigger, let's see, connect local broadcast event on update, reset all animation parameters. That's for the animations. We're looking for, nope. It's so crazy how complicated this looks, but it's really not. One of these is what I'm looking for. Navmesh.scale.get, navmesh volume.position.get. Find new destination. Now that sounds promising. Find new destination. Get random destination. Set new destination. Set new destination right here. Okay, look at equals destination. Entity dot, okay, here we are. Destination.set. This is all we needed. This is what I've been looking for. All right. This dot entity dot as navmesh agent. Oh, yeah, that's super simple. Okay, so let's go back, and now we can do that. Return to creation home. Sorry for that. I was just, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I haven't touched it. As navmesh agent. There it is. Close out of this. And then let's head back over to Horizon, go into our world that we were building, which we need to rename. And today we are working on scripting walking NPCs. So I'll need to rename that. Come on. All right. Rename world. Scripting walking NPCs. All right, save. Okay, so we've got this guy over here that we're going to try to get to walk. We've got a script attached. We're going to close out the AI panel. And we can see this is where the speed was I was talking about a minute ago. And we're going to attach that Unity Asset Bundle script. Clear, scripts, Unity Asset Bundles, open external editor. And open. That's weird. Don't save. Don't save. What the heck? Might need to close out of this. There's one more thing I was looking for inside of these scripts here. So I'm going to right click, reveal in File Explorer, and then move this off to the side so I can use it at some point. So it's just as navmesh agent.destination.set. Okay, we're looking for these scripts. There it is. So we need a props for destination. Destination. Type prop types dot entity, and then we're going to go ahead and say this dot entity dot as parentheses navmesh agent Oh my gosh, am I messing up? It's because I'm racing. I hate when I race and I mess up. Dot navigation. Or was it navigation? Dot. Maybe it wasn't nav mesh agent. Yes, it was. It was nav mesh agent. Dot. Oh, I gotta reopen the script. That's why I had it open here. That was the NPC chicken we were looking at. NPC chicken. Scroll down. Has nav destination. Ah, destination. That's what I messed up. Okay. Dot destination. Dot set. Parentheses. Props. Dot destination. Dot position. Dot get. And then, because this could be undefined, we'll use vec3.0 as our default value. And our fallback value might be a better way to describe that. So now that's going to move to the destination, and that's it. We do want it to walk, so we need to like do a walking animation, which I think is something simple as well, like this.entity.as, let's see, Unity asset bundle, Unity. Am I typing wrong? As asset bundle gizmo dot, and there should be something like play animation. We're gonna just go back to Control C, NPC chicken, Command F. Ah, here it is. Dot get root set animation parameter. Here it is. This is what we need. Control C. So asset bundle gizmo dot get root dot set animation parameter float to, and then walk. If I'm not mistaken, that is it. What else does it have in here? Oh, and then math dot random. That's weird. Set animation. Oh, because it's requiring a float value, whereas walk might be not a float value. Search for command find walk. Walk is not in here. If we go to the other NPCs, those ones will have walk in it. So it was in the NPC agent defines walk. Maybe it's not walk. That's where it was walk. These are the death, attack, hit, walk speed, walking. Set max speed to walk, max speed. Start, walk speed. Set animation parameter float. NPC agent reset. Death, walk. None of these say walk. Moving. Oh, it's moving. Set animation parameter bool moving. Got it. Okay. Set animation parameter bool to moving, comma, true. Okay. Then we'd also need to write in like an if statement for when you get there to stop moving, but for now, let's just very quickly prove that this works. Okay, so we got the script attached. We need to reference this one, which we're going to call UAB, and then reference the UAB cube. Oh, it was right there, wasn't it? And there it is. Okay. I don't know if he can walk up. Oh, that's definitely too large to walk up. Scale, set that to 1. Fly. And once again, I forget world simulation. Okay. Yeah, dude, you were supposed to do something. Let's see. Navigation volume is on, including bakes is on. I think that can be turned off. Navigation profiles NPCs, max speed 5. Is immobile? No. Physical surface snapping, current velocity. No required forward alignment. Maybe set that to 0. No, that's not it. Did I call it too quickly on world start? Let's see. Destination is the Unity asset bundle. Console's not logging anything, but we didn't tell it to. Destination, prop types entity, position.get. Asset bundle.get root. Let's try delaying this by a second. Let's delay start. All right, I'm going to say async hot set timeout, parentheses, parentheses, arrow function, curly braces, call delay start, and we'll do that after 1 second, maybe 2 seconds to be on the safe side. Okay. Really wish I had my demo world because I know it's really solid. I just can't remember what it's called. I might not even have access to it because it's in the early days when I was training Euphoria. So we might have been building it on his account. Okay, buddy, old pal. Do I need to leave? Oh, maybe I have to leave and come back. This could be one of those leave and come back bugs. Those are so common, the leave and come back bugs. Welcome in, whale suck. You've got a terrible name, I hate to tell you that. I love saying howdy though. I'm glad you're in the howdy gang. But I can't say your name out loud, dude. I literally caught myself as I was saying it. Too funny. All right, please work, please work. Please be the trick. Please be the trick. Just leave and come back. Please be the trick. I'm pretty sure that's what it was in the other one too. If I'm not mistaken, we had the same problem. 1 and 2 and... But I don't think it was like immediate leave and come back. I think it was like you had to leave, come back after a while. Ugh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the problem because this seems familiar. Control D. Slide him over. Oh, he's clapping. That's very strange. I never told you to clap, I told you to move. Clap and move are very different. Nope, neither of them are moving. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's the thing. So, dang it, this is really hard to make an example out of if it's not working. And I am completely out of time, even though I need to make this 2-minute tutorial. But I don't think they care about Unity asset bundles. So the fact that they're not working, but they should be that simple. And that was the point. The point is that they're 2 lines of code rather than like a bazillion lines of code. So if anyone at Meta gets to see the 2-minute one and watches the full-length version here, haha. But yeah, Meta bugs. Y'all are used to those by now. Oh, I forgot to move this over for today. Sorry about that. But yeah. Oh, Meta bugs. I swear. This one's been around for a long time because we haven't worked on it in 7 or 8 months. But I'm pretty sure if you close the world, wait 5 minutes and come back, but I don't have 5 minutes. I'm over half. I'm 40 minutes late. Okay, I gotta go. So I'm gonna do the quick recording and yeah, we're just gonna delete this guy. And we'll start with a face. So this is the recording for Meta that I keep talking about. We're finally going to do it. And if you don't know, you can rewatch the video to understand what we're doing. Here we go. Hey guys, okay, so here's the quick recording to show you a little bit of the demonstration I have for you. So we got all these little demonstration pedestals. So this is a Unity asset bundle. It's the easiest one to get set up. And so this is running just a quick little script I put together with a navigation profile of NPC. I know this isn't what we want to talk about, but this is like the ideal. And so Unity Asset Bundle has a destination set, which is this cube. We'll see that a lot later with our other examples. And if I open the script, we'll go to Unity Asset Bundle script, open an external editor. We're going to see that this script is pretty simple. It is just a start. We actually don't need this delay start. I did that because I was trying to fix a Horizon bug that we don't need to talk about today. There we go. Okay, so anyway, it's that. It's just 2 lines of code. So you say destination.set, you get the position of the destination you want to go to, and you go to it. For moving, you just use this moving Boolean, and you set it to true. You can turn it off by setting it to false. Very simple to get working. Now, compare that to our other NPCs. And we have quite a few examples of these NPCs to show you. So I think we should demonstrate these real quick. Now, this guy isn't actually moving. I haven't left the world and waited 5 minutes and then come back because I just don't have time today, but that will get that guy working. So we'll turn the world simulation on. And so what you can see is we've got all these NPCs over here that are all running forward, and some of them work and some of them don't. So this guy, he gets stuck jumping up and down. The demonstration I planned to show you with this one was that this guy, when he walks forward, he'll just stand here. He makes it to his destination or as close as he can get, and he calls that good enough. If over here, when he can walk up, this NPC will walk and actually stand on it. You can see we've done that here. I'll show you how we did that in code in a moment. And then over here, when the same thing would have happened, well, actually, no, this guy would have actually made it on top. Point is, like, this guy works flawlessly all the time. And then same thing we're seeing here is basically with this NPC, he's being told to go here, but he can't get there because there's a block in the way. This guy would walk right through the block. This guy walked around it. So if we turn this one off and on, he's going to walk around. And I'll show you how we were able to do that in just a moment in code, but you'll see he walks around because it's tall. This guy gets stuck on the block because he's able to actually jump over it. So if we turn this off and on again, you'll see that the guy over here next to him, he actually knows how to jump over it. And so this guy walks to get stuck, but this guy's like, oh, there's something here, I'll jump over it. And then this one on the far end, if you might have noticed, he just walks right over it because it is the right height. Now, the regular avatar NPCs are able to jump over a 1-block height, but they just don't do it automatically. So they get stuck like this guy. Whereas if it's tall enough, they'll walk around it. And that is due to the navigation profile. So these guys are all running navigation profiles. This guy is just running a straight, let's run forward to the destination and not being able to do anything. So it's like, if you give him a destination that he can't get to, he doesn't do anything. Whereas if you give these guys a navigation profile and destination, they do. I know we're running up on the 2-minute timer, so just really quickly, let's go take a look at the code. And I think it's this one. Let's try the other one. I have 2 of these open. There we go. We're going to close out of everything we don't need here. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is this forward entity. So this is the most simple. He's got a destination, which is just the block. We connect the player enter event so we know when the avatars arrive. When the avatar arrives, we check the destination to make sure it's valid. And then we say locomotion.move to position. This is just as simple as the Unity asset bundle. The problem is it just doesn't work, right? Like, it gets stuck all the time. There's so many cases where this just doesn't work. It's almost good if this would actually do navigation profile, nav mesh. And so if we go to the jump at destination, you'll see that this one requires a lot more work to jump over things. And so we're now doing this looping thing. Inside the loop, we're checking the distance to the destination. And if we're close to the destination, but we need to jump, it jumps up and gets on top. And like, that doesn't take into account all the other jumps, which is going to be taken care of in the nav mesh. So inside of nav mesh, what we do here is we have a destination, we have a detect jump boolean, which was just so I could create multiple versions of this. So there's one that jumps and one that doesn't for the examples you saw. So you got the destination, the previous position is of vec3.0 that we'll be using in a moment. We have to create a nav mesh, which is how we link into the nav mesh. We're connecting code block events just like before. We now have to use an async pre-start to get the nav mesh manager, and then await the nav mesh NPC, which is the NPC nav mesh. We can then utilize that nav mesh, but we need to rebake it just in case. I don't know if we have to rebake it, but it's good to do. Anyway, so quickly rebake it. Then on start, we check the destination and set the destination to be the destination property. Now when player enters world, we're doing the same thing where we're checking the entity to see if it's the player that's entered the world. And then if it is the correct player, we get, sorry, running out of air. We get a list of positions, which is navmesh.getPath. And so we take the position of the player, the destination, we then get the waypoints. We can then provide those waypoints to locomotion as move to positions. Now this is similarly, would be fantastic if this just worked. The problem is it doesn't. So now we have to add this detect jump routine, which is going to loop every half second. And so in the loop, it's detecting the distance to the destination and the distance to itself and where it was last. And so it checks to see the distance moved. And if the distance moved is ever under 0.25 or the distance to the destination is greater than 0.25, it's checking to make sure we're not at the destination so it doesn't jump up and down when it gets to the destination. So we say if stagnant and not at the destination, we then can jump to get over the thing. And that works in some cases, not all of them. Point is, it's a lot of work. Hopefully that helps explain why I would love to see these NPC avatars get more improved. And let me know if you have any other questions. Thank you. Okay, guys, that was the end of that recording for Meta. I think that was more than 2 minutes. I need to upload that to them and send it, and I gotta run out the door. So I will catch you guys later. I see one more question came in. Stimbubate. I don't know. I'm so glad you're learning, though. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. It's great to have you here in the live stream. And thank you, everyone who has shown up for the live stream. Lots of great friends and fans and family. We're all family here. If you want to join me in the Vidyuu Discord, link is in the description. I need to upload those assets for you real quick so you can have access to all these scripts if you want to pick and pull them apart and build this yourself. Let's go do that real quick. Scripts folder. This is the wrong one. The other scripts folder. This is also the wrong one. Scripts, 3 dots, open scripts folder in Explorer. We're going to go to Chrome. The link to these files is in the description. It's on Google Drive. It's a asset folder with all the files we're sharing. So I'm going to create a new folder in here for today, which was the 25th year of the 4th month. And this is walking NPCs. All right, there we go. And then we're going to drop those files into there. So scripts. So feel free to download these and use these in your worlds. Modify them to your heart's content. Give them better names, I hope. These are terribly just really quickly done. But there they are. They're available for download right now, right away. And yeah, so thank you guys so much again for showing up, hanging out, and watching the video. If you're watching this later, great to have you as well. Bye! I see storming Decker. At least it's sunny in Seattle right now. It is! It's so nice. Yes, I'm looking forward to going outside here very soon. Actually going into Seattle for a little bit of work. I'm going to be working on my laptop. My friend is going to be doing some actual work. But anyway, I'll catch you guys later.